Hello, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing? I hope everyone is fine. Before we get on with our show for today, please do us a favor by liking this video and also subscribe to the channel because that helps us a lot and we shall forever be grateful to you. So I want us to run along with some of the stories making the headlines from our beloved continent, Africa. And we shall begin from Togo. Togo delays legislative and regional polls until April 29. Togo has rescheduled parliamentary and regional elections for April 29 after delaying the ballot over a highly contested constitutional reform. The announcement was made Tuesday, April 9, after a cabinet meeting. Elections were initially scheduled on April 13 before being postponed to April 20. Togo's parliament voted in late March to transition the nation from a presidential to a parliamentary system. Faced with public outcry, the presidency ordered the constitutional reform back to parliament. In early April, President Faure Gnassingbé met members of the Bureau of the National Assembly and urged them to take into account or contribution susceptible to enrich the Constitution. The National Assembly's Bureau therefore expressed the need for more consultations over the reform, which led to a new postponement. The proposed constitution, which was passed on March 25th, grants Parliament the power to choose the president doing away with direct elections. Instead of renewable 5-year term, the proposed bill restricts the power of future presidents and introduces a one-term limit. The reform hands over greater power to a figure similar to that of a prime minister, officially called the President of the Council of Ministers. This individual will either be the leader of the party, which secures the majority during the legislative elections, or the leader of the winning coalition of parties. The government said on Tuesday a planned 3-day protest this week over the arrest of opposition figures and new legislation scrapping presidential elections were illegal, a move that heightens tension in the West African nation that has been ruled by the same family for almost 60 years. So like I have said before, right, most of the things you came across in Africa would make you laugh, right? How can one family rule a country for almost 60 years? They keep on changing the thing, keep on playing over the mind of the people. Right now, they want to bring somebody called the President of the Council of Ministers. Who is gonna take over that position? Is it the Gnassingbé or not? You see, what they do is like they come up with new ways to play over the people. That's what they always do. They bring forth this one and then they use it for long and they realize that the people have kind of like understand the game. Then they switch it to another one. Now they want to take all powers from the president and hand it over to someone who is like a prime minister. And this position will be headed by someone who is the president of the party. And guess what? And guess who is the president of the ruling party in Togo? Gnassingbé. So automatically he will become the chairman of the Council of Ministers. And that position has no term limit, right? Because as long as the Gnassingbé party keeps winning, he can keep on being the chairman of the Council of Ministers, which is a de facto leader of the state. This is so crazy. But anyway, the Togolese people went into the street and protest. And let's wait and see what happened next. So let's continue with the second story for today. Togo Campaign rallies take over the streets of LOME as parties attempt to woo voters. The electoral campaign for Togo's legislative and regional elections kick off Saturday in the country's capital, Lomé. The Alliance Nationale pour le Changement, one of the opposition parties, launched its campaign with greater fanfare with a carnival through the streets of Lomé. The campaign is taking place against backdrop of protests over the government's constitutional change. We are here with serenity because we know we are going to fight them. We won't let an adapt of the permanent power grab impose his vision on us, say Jean-Pierre Fabre, president of the ANC. For the Force Democratic Republican, another opposition party, the question of changing the constitution is a major issue at stake in these elections. We want to hold a sanctioned vote so that whether they do in the ballot box, we are going to beat them to say that strength lies with the people. Meanwhile, supporters of the ruling UNRR party also took to the street out to conquer the electorate. After crisscrossing several roads of the Togolese capital, they all converged on a meeting point to listen to their leaders. The challenge is simple: to confirm the confidence and support of the Togolese people in everything we are doing, but at the same time to say to the Togolese people, we will listen to them and we will act to improve and accelerate everything we have done so far. So it's campaign season in Togo, and we can all see the different parties making promises. But like in Africa, like I've always said, that politicians only come out when they need the people's vote. When after they get the vote, they will just go back and do whatever they want to do. Because if you look critically, you will see that this is not the first time that these politicians have made these promises, right? They've kept on making promises like this for years immemorial, but it's difficult to see them actually doing what they promised to do. And that is the problem with campaigns and politicians in Africa. But let's wait and see how this one would be. Maybe the ruling party won't be as victorious as they might think, because we can all learn from what happened in Senegal, right? The ruling party lost the elections. So let's hope and pray that there might be change in Togo. So let's move on to our test story for today. Togo bans protests against arrest of opposition activists, constitutional reform. Togo's government said a planned 3-day protest this week over the arrest of opposition figures and new legislation scrapping presidential elections was illegal, a move that heightened tension in the West African nation that has been ruled by the same family for almost 60 years. The Interior and Security Ministries said the protest set to begin Thursday would seriously disturb public order. In a separate notice, the government also delayed parliamentary election until April 29, pushing the vote back by just over a week. The spokesman for the opposition behind the planned protest said the coalition was considering whether to move forward with the rallies anyway. Whenever they are in a panic, they are ready to use any kind of tricks against the opposition. Spokesperson Eric told the Associated Press, "It doesn't move us." The government last week arrested 9 opposition activists for engaging in political activities at the market. All 9 were released on Tuesday evening. A statement from the public prosecutor's office said they were arrested for disturbing public order. A spokesman for those arrested, Thomas, called the arrest arbitrary and abusive. The proposed constitution, which was passed by lawmakers in late March, grants Parliament the power to choose the president, doing away with direct elections. The opposition fears this makes it likely that President Faure Gnassingbé will be re-elected when his mandate expires in 2025. Previous opposition protests over the past 2 decades, especially in 2005 and 2017, have been deadly, with hundreds of people killed, displaced, and exiled. So the issue in Togo is not getting any better, and we can all see that the Togolese people are saying that they won't take this one lying low, that they have been taken advantage of for far too long, and it's high time they start speaking out their minds, and that things will have to change. They will not take this lying low, and that is great, because we cannot keep on letting politicians get away with every single thing they do. We have got to protest. We have got to set our mind. We have got to say what we think is right. But let's continue with the final story for today. Togo analysts weigh in on what to expect in upcoming legislative elections. Parliamentary election campaigns kick off on Saturday in Togo amid heightened tension after election delays and the president's attempt to sign off on a new constitution which would scrap presidential elections entirely. Parliamentary elections are scheduled for April 29. The National Alliance for Change party has planned protests for weeks, cancelling some after the government banned protests, claiming they would disturb public order. Running on a platform for change, ANC hopes with the parliamentary elections to be able to gain a majority in the country's National Assembly. The Union for the Republic Party, created by President Faure Gnassingbé in 2012, also began campaigning. From his office in LOME, Paul, political analyst at Tambama Institute for Governance, said that these elections could allow the opposition to win a number of seats in the National Assembly. Eventually, those in power now could not have the guarantee to have the 4 out of 5. So the quota required in order to change the constitution, he said. If the ruling party is unable to change the constitution at the level of National Assembly, the president will be unable to delay or cancel election through constitutional means. African News correspondent reports that more than 2,000 candidates from political parties and independents are vying for 113 seats as MPs and 179 seats as regional councillors. They have 2 weeks to convince 4 million voters ahead the voted schedule for Monday 29. So the election is going to move on as scheduled, and everyone is fighting to be able to secure a seat in parliament. And we just have to wait and see how all this will turn out. And we hope for the best for the Togolese people. But if there's one thing I always believe is in the power of the people. The people have the power to change things. The people just have to be aware that they have this power to do things for themselves. The people don't have to trust the politicians to do it for them, because the politicians will never do it for them. The politicians just want them and want their vote. And after they get the vote from the people, they will disappear. So I hope the people can make the right choices this time around to vote for people who will really care for them. But you guys out there, let me hear your take on the stories we covered today and on the elections that is supposed to take place on the 29th of April in Togo. What is your guess? Like, who do you think will become the winning party in the election? And what about the change that the ruling party wanted to make, like let parliamentarians choose a president? Do you think that is a very good move for the country and for the people? Share that thought with us in the comment section below, because we love hearing what you have to say. And also, please kindly like this video, share it, leave us a comment below, and subscribe to this channel, because that helps us a lot. We shall forever be grateful to you.